You are watching No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and these are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what's driving me crazy? The president, not the president-elect, the president, President Trump. What's driving me crazy is that he's, I think, going a little cuckoo. I supported him. I was happy to vote for him 3 times. First in the Michigan primary in 2016, then in the general election, and then in this past general election in November. I support the president. I support his policies. I think he did a great job. It's his personal behavior, his nonstop tweeting and vendettas against everyone. That, I believe, is part of why he lost the election. The other part is COVID. If either one of those factors did not exist, he would be the president-elect right now. And I'm not saying there's not election fraud. We know that dead people voted. They have in many past elections, in fact, in all of them. We know there's a lot of shenanigans going on, but there has been this kind of shenanigans for years. What did the Republicans and the Trump campaign and the Republican state legislatures do about it in years past? Nothing. Now, after the game is over, it's too late to try and enforce the rules. It's too late to make sure that everyone was eligible who was playing and that all the touchdowns were legal. It's too late. The horse or the cow or whatever has left the barn. It's too late to put it back in. And so I think at this point, after more than 50 losses in the courts, it's time to give up and move on. It's not giving up. That's a valiant fight that he put on. But to appoint somebody as Sidney Powell or General Flynn, who I told you before is a dirtbag, he was doing lobbying for money for the extremist Muslim government of Turkey, wanted U.S. citizens to be deported to Turkey to be executed. Not a good guy. Yes, he shouldn't have been prosecuted, but he's not very smart. He shouldn't have talked to the FBI without a lawyer. And I'm glad he got a pardon. His prosecution is over. But the president needs to stop listening to this pair. I think, frankly, he should probably stop listening to Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis as well. They're not serving him very well, but I think that they are basically doing what he wants. He won't give up. At some point, you have to leave with some class and some dignity. Now, do I admit, and I certainly do, that the president, no matter how he behaves, he could be the perfect gentleman, have the best of manners, be totally classy, and admit defeat. He could have done that on November 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever. After all the cases were exhausted, he could have done that. Would the press have treated him any differently? Would his haters treat him any differently? No, he would not earn their respect. They're going to criticize him no matter what he does. But where he lost the election is where I'm concerned about. He actually lost votes in suburban white America. He lost votes among Republicans. And that is the base he should have shored up. He gained in some other areas, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But that's where he lost. And he lost that because of his behavior and because of what stuff like this that's going on now. Now, Pat Robertson, of all people, I would never have expected this from him. I think he called it exactly right. Take a look at this video.
Pat, what do you think? Should Mr. Trump run again in 2024?
David Brody, I think it's a sideshow. I think it would be a mistake. My money would be on Nikki Haley. I think she'd make a tremendous candidate for the Republican Party. But with all his talent and the ability to raise money and draw large crowds, the president still lives in an alternate reality. He really does. People say, well, he lies about this, that, and the other. But no, he isn't lying. To him, that's the truth. He had the biggest crowd on Inauguration Day. He had more people than ever. He was the most popular people. He saved NBC with The Apprentice. You go down the line of things that really aren't true. And, people kept pointing to them. But because they loved him so much and he was so strong for the evangelicals were with him all the way. But there was something about him that was good, that God placed him in that office for the time. He's done a marvelous job for the economy. But at the same time, he is very erratic, and he's fired people, and he's fought people, and he's insulted people. It keeps going down the line. So it's a mixed bag. And I think it would be well to say, you've had your day, and it's time to move on. But at the same time, I am very, very concerned about the trends towards socialism. And it would be terrible to see this country go into some type of socialist decline. And don't think that Bernie Sanders, who is a socialist, and people like that, aren't going to be very dominant in the Democrat Party. And if we have a socialist that suddenly takes away many of the things that Trump has put in, if they raise taxes, they start to confiscate money, they don't know what to do with the debt, they start to pay all the tuition for people at big universities, et cetera, this stuff will bankrupt America, and America can't stand for it. So what do? If they start confiscating money, I mean, it goes down the line. When you look at what happened in the socialist countries, they first did everything they could, then they began to take dominance. And we don't want that in America. We don't want it in America. So if there was a time to pray, this is the time to pray. But I certainly don't think we need a sideshow for 2024. I think right now we better do some praying about those Georgia elections, because they are crucial. George?
Absolutely right. He is right on the money. In fact, that is true. President Trump, what he is doing now is a sideshow, but unfortunately, like what Pat Robertson said, and listen, this served him well to win the presidency and during his presidency. He's a very gifted speaker, rallier. He gets people on his side. Look at all the very loyal supporters he has. And look at how much money he has raised for not only his campaign, but many other campaigns. But at some point, you have to say, I lost. And to raise money off the back of these many working class people who are donating to this effort that is not going to succeed at this point after 50 plus losses, he's ripping them off. It's not right to raise that money from them. Now, to raise it for the Georgia Senate seats, absolutely. The Republicans have to win those seats, or America is going to go down the rabbit hole, and it will never emerge. It's going to be the end of the country as we know it. He is so right. But yes, President Trump did great things during his 4 years. I wish he had another 4. But we have to admit what's going on, because otherwise we won't know how to act in the future. We have to move onward and upward and prepare for it. Listen, in less than 2 years, there are congressional and Senate races again. We have to win those. And how about conservatives? And how about the presidential election of 2024 that he was talking about? So I don't think President Trump, by the way, is turning on all his allies. He's turning on Mark Meadows, his chief of staff, turning on Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. He is turning now on Mike Pence. Mike Pence is in a very tough spot because he's been loyal to Trump for 4 years plus. Been very loyal to him, but he cannot win. He wants to run in 2024. And if he goes down the tubes with Trump on this endless, winless challenge that's just over, it's going to hurt him, and he does not want to do that. Now, I do not believe Trump will ever run again. I think at that point, he's going to like that he has his life back at Mar-a-Lago, and if he ever goes back to Trump Tower, he's now a Florida resident, so Mar-a-Lago. Just don't think he wants to run again. And in 4 years, I think the whole landscape will change. People think, oh, the Republican Party is now the Trumplican Party. Not necessarily. I think things will change in 4 years. You know what? 4 years is several lifetimes from now. And we know that from what has happened this year. Anything can happen. And I really don't think any of the Trump are going to be the nominee. Not Don Jr., not the president, and hopefully not Ivanka, who is a super liberal, as I've talked to you about on this show many times in the past. Now, when we come back, I want to talk to you more about what's in the stimulus package. This is very controversial and for good reason, and it's going to hurt North Dakota. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome to No Filter, welcome back to No Filter with Debbie. So before the break, I was talking to you about 2024, and I do believe that people will become tired of the whole Trump act. Not because he wasn't a great president. He was absolutely a great president. He was one of the greatest presidents of my lifetime, just not in his personal behavior. And people will get sick of that. It gets old. Or it will eventually. You know what also gets old? Losing. Because we won all of these House races and all these Senate races. And to lose the presidency when President Trump actually expanded in a lot of groups, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, it's just sad. It's unfortunate. All right, but you know what people are unfortunately also not going to get tired of? Free money. Now, I understand the stimulus bill had to pass. First of all, as I said before, those Senate Republicans, they would lose. I think they're going to win those two Senate candidates. I mean, the ones from Georgia, the two actual senators, and they're running for re-election, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. As I've said, they're not very good candidates. But the stimulus package had to pass because of them. I don't like that. I don't like using politics. But Nancy Pelosi admitted the stimulus, that she was open to it now that Joe Biden won. But you know what the problem with it is? The problem is that it's a lot of money, and who is going to pay for that? We can only give away so much money, and also there are jobs out there. How are they going to be filled with this? I understand people are hurting, and the government made a lot of these people quit their jobs or lose their businesses, but it's not the federal government that did it. It's these liberal Democrat governors and their lockdowns, and they're not being forced to pay for their actions. Because why? The American taxpayers are picking up the slack and allowing people to get paid to stay home under their really draconian lockdowns, like in Michigan with Gretchen Whitmer, in New York with Cuomo, in California with Gavin Newsom. And we have to have compassion for these people. They want to work, they want to have businesses, but they were shut down by these governors. And so, unfortunately, we are enabling that behavior. And Rand Paul gets to some of that. Look, I just want you to show you just a couple of minutes or so of his speech that he gave on the floor of the Senate yesterday before the vote, or maybe it was right after the vote. And what he said is absolutely spot on. It goes on for more than 14 minutes. We don't have time for that on this show. We're only an hour show. But take a look.
Senator from Kentucky.
Republicans like to mock modern monetary theory, the idea that government can print money with impunity, that government can spend whatever it wants without the need to tax. Modern monetary theory is basically the Dick Cheney deficits don't matter crowd, trussed up with a new fancy title. Most Republicans rightly lampoon this quackery, that is, when they're not practicing the quackery themselves. Today, many of these same Republicans will vote for a bill that makes modern monetary theory look like child's play in comparison. The monster spending bill presented today is not just a deficits don't matter disaster, it is everything Republicans say they don't believe in. This bill is free money for everyone. Proponents don't care if you're fully employed or own your own house or own your own business. Free money for everyone, they cry. And yet, if free money were the answer, if money really grew on trees, why not give more free money? Why not give it out all the time? Why stop at $600 a person? Why not $1,000? Why not $2,000? Maybe these new free money Republicans should join the Everybody Gets a Guaranteed Income caucus. Why not $20,000 a year for everybody? Why not $30,000? If we can print up money with impunity, why not do it? The Treasury can just keep printing the money. That is, until someone points out that the emperor has no clothes and that the dollar no longer has value. To so-called conservatives who are quick to identify the socialism of Democrats, if you vote for this spending monstrosity, you are no better. When you vote to pass out free money, you lose your soul and you abandon forever any semblance of moral or fiscal integrity. So the next time you see Republicans in high moral dudgeon claiming and complaining about spending of Democrats and socialism, remind them if they supported this monstrous bill that really the difference between the parties is less Adam Smith versus Marx and more Marx versus Engels.
He's absolutely correct. The problem is, again, you've got people who have no jobs right now. They've lost their businesses, or they lost their jobs at businesses they closed, or businesses that are only allowed, for example, restaurants and bars to do takeout, or they're only allowed to operate at certain capacities, so they don't need as many employees. We have to help these people. We cannot let them starve. Yes, as I said on yesterday's show, there are jobs out there, but for whatever reason, some of these people may not be able to take those jobs. Some people won't want to work those jobs. They don't want to work at Target or Amazon. They don't want to do that. And that's wrong. But when we do this bill, with these checks, the extra $300 a week or whatever it is going to be, that means they're going to get like $700, $800 a week. What is going to happen is they're not going to want to work at a Target or Amazon. I wouldn't. Why should I? If I could stay home and do whatever I want for the same money or more money. So that is the problem. And like he said, we are enabling a lot of these things. So it's really a catch-22. On the one hand, these state governors who have still shut down their state, that's a problem. Now, he also goes on to say that Should we give money to people who own their own home? Some people are still working. Why are we giving them $600 a month? Well, or $600 stimulus check. Well, those people who are still working, maybe they're not making as much. Or maybe they're at a different job where they're making less than half what they made, or their business is making a lot less. So I feel for those people because, again, a lot of these state governors force this. But what if it's a place like Georgia or Florida where they don't have these restrictions and their economies are open and they don't have the COVID cases that states like California and New York and Michigan have? What about those? So he raises a lot of good points. Listen, AOC and Senator Ted Cruz, diametrically opposed on almost everything, agreed on something, which is they didn't get the bill till after 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then they voted on it just a few hours later, a couple hours or so. And it was almost 5,600 pages. So, of course, they did not read it. Now, after the break, I'm going to show you a video of what Nancy Pelosi has to say. And how is this bill very bad for North Dakota? Some of what is in it that you've maybe read about, but some of what you've read about that is not in it, and it's not true. We will talk about that after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beth.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running, no matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So, Nancy Pelosi, as I told you, she said that she opposed a deal like this, and she did oppose it throughout the election. She was electioneering for Joe Biden. Now, she has since said that she would agree to it because Joe Biden's going to be president, and she did agree to it with a lot of bloatation, as I would call it, in this bill. And we'll get to that in a second. But I want you to see what this elitist multimillionaire, both she and her husband, her husband was very rich. They got super rich, both of them, off of her being in Congress. Funny how that always happens, isn't it? So, because they're all insider traders. It's so disgusting. But look what she said about the $600.
We also have in the legislation direct payments, which were not in the Republican bill, to America's working families. I would like them been bigger, but they are significant, and they will be going out soon.
Significant. She says that $600 is significant. Now, yes, it's money, but how many families are going to be able to do much with $600? That does not even pay a month's rent in most locations in America. It just doesn't. Or it could be a month and a half's groceries for a big family, maybe just a month's groceries. In some places, it wouldn't even be a month's groceries. It's not significant, but she's out of touch. It's a let them eat cake statement. She's like the Marie Antoinette of Congress. So there's that. But let's tell you who the money did go to. So you may have read tweets and social media and even some websites, they got it wrong, who said, well, Israel and Sudan and Egypt and a number of other countries, Ukraine, got hundreds of millions of dollars, and all we got was $600. That's my buzzer. Absolutely wrong. They did not get hundreds of millions of dollars under the COVID bill. You know what they voted on, the senators in the House? They voted on a series of bills. They voted on the continued reauthorization bill so the government can continue operating. Part of that was the defense bill. And part of the defense bill is the foreign aid that we give to some of our strategic partners. For example, Israel. Israel is our only friend, our only true friend in the Middle East. And what we get from them in terms of intelligence, in terms of technology, in terms of weaponry and developments in that it's far beyond what we give Israel. Plus, we constantly pressure Israel not to protect its citizens, not to respond to terrorist attacks. There was just another terrorist attack yesterday in Jerusalem. We don't allow them to build housing because apparently red lines are illegal in America, but in the Middle East, if Jews want to live somewhere and the Palestinians, the Muslims object, you can't do it. So we do all of these things to Israel. We put a number of constraints on Israel. We force them to do these things in order to do those peace deals that President Trump made with them. And in return, they get the money. And by the way, unlike all the other countries like Sudan, like Ukraine, like Egypt, that got a lot more money than Israel did in the foreign aid bill that this was not the COVID bill. Unlike those countries, Israel, 85% of the aid they get from us must be spent in America. And it's almost always in the defense industry, in American-made weaponry and rounds, bullets, things like that. So these are American jobs that this money is actually going to, 85% of it. So it's just a lie. This was not part of the COVID bill. But I'll tell you what was part of the COVID bill that everybody should be angry about. And I actually think this was also part of the defense bill, but whatever bill it was part of, it's outrageous, and that is we're giving $10 million to Pakistan for gender programs. What does that mean? Does that mean we're giving $10 million to Pakistan to teach men that it's okay to say you're women and get operations to cut off your genitals and restructure them? Or get plastic surgery on them? Are we saying that you should dress up as a man if you're a woman? What are gender programs? You can bet that that's probably what it is. There's nothing called gender programs that's normal. I'm just telling you. This is the lingua franca of the far left social engineering, gender programs. So that's what's in there. But I'll tell you what's also in there, that both Senator Kramer and Senator Hoeven were upset about, and Senator Hoeven offered an amendment. It did not pass. So listen to this. This is just really outrageous. In the bill is a tax credit aimed at the wind industry. The wind industry. So what is that for? That is to put places like North Dakota and Texas. We are the number 2 and number 1 producers of oil in the country, to put us out of business. It's to put coal out of business, which is a big industry in North Dakota. It's to put fracking, which is a big industry in North Dakota, out of business. Why are we subsidizing that as part of the COVID bill? That was in there. So Senator Hoeven's amendment, unfortunately, did not pass, and they got their tax credit. And Senator Lankford from Oklahoma agreed with them, and he said that the credits benefit a mature industry that doesn't need the extra help, and he said it's a zombie tax credit that legislators had agreed years ago should be ended, only for it to be resurrected by lobbyists. Senator Kramer called it a market-destroying atrocity. Amen to that. I love Senator Kramer. I have to tell you, every time he opens his mouth, I say, yes, sir, keep it coming more, please, because he knows what he's talking about and he knows how to say it. He's super eloquent. And the American Wind Energy Association, they lobbied for this, just like all these other lobbies. Here's what else is in there. So, an extension of benefits for NASCAR. Now, I understand NASCAR was forced to shut down, so maybe they're a little bit more worthy than the wind industry. But listen to this. Also, the motorcycle industry, an electric motorcycle. If you buy an electric motorcycle such as Energica and Zero, then you get a $2,500 subsidy on that, a credit, courtesy of the American taxpayers. We're paying for people to buy fancy schmancy, exorbitantly priced electric motorcycles that you got to plug in somewhere. Good luck finding a place in North Dakota or most places to plug it in. We shouldn't be subsidizing this. Absolutely not. The senators are right. Now, something more on COVID. As we know, it has destroyed a lot of people's mental health. In fact, Gallup did a poll, and every single group has experienced a decline in mental health, as they've said on personal experience, people were surveyed. Except one group, and you know what that group is? Churchgoers who go to weekly services, which a lot of governors wanted to shut that down, or did. Governor Newsom in California, now it's just been restored in LA. The Jews and the Christians, the Catholics in New York, they all sued, and the Supreme Court said their restrictions were unfair. The Gallup survey showed that only among people who attend religious services weekly, their mental health didn't decline. It went up by 4 points. Everybody else, those who don't attend church services, went way down. Republicans went down. Democrats went way down. Republicans not as much. And we all know that being a liberal is kind of a mental disorder. I'm just kidding. Don't send mail. There's a lot of reasonable liberals, just a lot of unreasonable ones too. And sometimes they seem like they're the majority. So yesterday I told you about Deborah Birx, the doctor on President Trump's COVID task force. She seemed to often disagree with the president. She announced that she wants to stay on and work for Joe Biden, but she did something that is an absolute killer of that opportunity, and now she's announced she's retiring. As I spoke about yesterday, on Thanksgiving, she went to one of her many vacation homes with multiple generations of her family after lecturing all of us, don't travel to another state for Thanksgiving, don't get together with people from different households, and then she did it. Again, rules for thee, but not for me. So bye-bye, see ya. All right, and Nancy Pelosi, I told you about people of faith, how they're the only ones whose mental condition did not decline, their mental health. Look what Nancy Pelosi has to say about people of faith.
We didn't do it. We couldn't pass legislation until now because the administration simply did not believe in testing, tracing, treatment, wearing masks, sanitation, separation, and the rest, scientific approach. It had come clear to us now that they believed in herd immunity, quackery, springing right from the Oval Office, and not denied sufficiently by some of the CDC and the rest. So now we have a vaccine, and that gives us hope. A vaccine that springs from science. People say around here sometimes, I'm faith-oriented, so I don't believe in science. And I said, well, you can do both. Science is an answer to our prayers. And our prayers have been answered with a vaccine. And in this legislation, we had provision for it to be developed, purchased, and distributed in a way, again, that is fair and equitable and free.
So people of faith don't believe in science, she's saying. That is an absolute insult. We absolutely believe in science. We'd like to see it. We'd like to see the data. And all these governors with their lockdowns don't show us any of it with their mask mandates. Even in North Dakota, those haven't worked. And we haven't seen it. When we ask for facts and figures to back this up, they don't show it. On yesterday's show, I showed you how Florida, which does not have a mask mandate, has no lockdown. Their numbers are way lower than California's, which has some of the strictest mandates in the country. And today we'll show you another state in a little bit. But we absolutely believe in science. You're the one who doesn't believe in science. You told us to wear masks and not to go get haircuts. And then you, Nancy Pelosi, went and got your haircut. And you blame it and didn't have your mask on. You blamed it on the rest of us, plus your beautician. Please. All right, when we come back, the squad chicks are in a fight, and I love it. And we will show you that other state I'm telling you about that doesn't have the cases, and they have no mask mandate. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on BET.
Howdy, folks. It's a Canline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Canline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering is the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie. So, I just love this. This is like the Iran-Iraq war. I hate both sides. I wish their war could go on forever and that they would both lose. This is Ilhan Omar versus AOC. So, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got the COVID vaccine. And Ilhan Omar says no, she thinks she's important. We in Congress are not important, even though we know Ilhan Omar thinks she's the most important in the world. She's pretending she doesn't. She says we're not important. She shouldn't have gotten it first. And AOC says we have to be examples unto the rest of the people. I don't care. I don't buy either of their arguments because I know they're both phonies and they're grandstanders. And her getting the COVID vaccine was virtue signaling. Her attacking it was also virtue signaling. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make a difference. It's just branding that they are both doing to brand themselves to increase their popularity. They love this. And I almost think this feud is being manufactured so that they can be in the press again, since they haven't been really much in a while, not very visibly. So may that go on forever. The squad chicks, internecine warfare. I love it. Now, look at this graphic we showed you yesterday, California versus Florida. This is Georgia versus California. Georgia has no mask mandate. They are not locked down. Look at that. Look how high California goes. And all those little notches in the California line as it goes up are after each of the different lockdowns that the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has put in. Mask mandates, shutting down restaurants indoors, shutting down restaurants outdoors, shutting down everything. Look at that. And look at Georgia. So we know for sure that mask mandates don't work, that shutdowns and lockdowns don't work. And we know that in North Dakota, and I'll talk about that during the next break. All right, I want to also show you, yesterday I told you that the CDC and many states have put into practice the CDC advice that they should do race-based and ethnicity-based woke vaccine distribution to Blacks, Indians, Hispanics, Native Americans. So look at this tweet. This is from a guy who is from the CDC. His name is Joe Walker. This woman, Emily Burns, retweeted what he sent out. So Joe Walker, look at, he identifies himself as festively defund the police. He says that he's located on occupied Muskogee land. So he thinks America is stolen land from the natives and it's occupied land. Not very proud to be an American, but hey, he's got a master's in public health. He works for the CDC and his model is being used to decide who gets vaccinated. So he's behind that kind of policy. Yay, America, your tax dollars at work. Now, finally, for this segment anyway, I want to tell you about Mackenzie Bezos. So Mackenzie Bezos, she is actually Mackenzie Scott now. She is Jeff Bezos' first wife, his ex-wife. And as part of her divorce settlement, I believe she got like $36 or $38 billion, which I felt, man, if I were her lawyer, I would demand half because he was worth a lot more than that. He was worth something like almost 200 or 300 billion at the time that they divorced, and she didn't get half. She only got something like 10% plus some change, maybe. So, but she, listen, I could live on $1 billion, you could too. We could live on a fragment of $1 billion, a fraction. But I'm just saying. So she, listen, she contributed to that business. She was with him when he started it. She stood through it the whole time. She was on the management team. She's donated over $4.2 billion over the last 4 months. Almost all of it has been going to minority colleges and universities and minority programs. And as I've always said, this is the real privilege based on race. It's not white privilege, it's black privilege, it's Hispanic privilege, it's native privilege. And guess who has also benefited from it? North Dakota, but not all of us, just the natives. So Turtle Mountain Community College in Belcourt, which is a Native American community college, got $8 million from Mackenzie Bezos. Your kids' college getting $8 million from Mackenzie Bezos? No, of course not. This is the real privilege. And I want to also point out that the University of Michigan Law School, they just got a $5 million gift from some woke white guy named David A. Breach, who's a investment broker. He just gave $5 million to the University of Michigan Law School for the purpose of studying and defeating racial injustice and institutional barriers for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. This is the real privilege in America. It's not white privilege. No, it's privilege for everybody else. All right, when we come back, we will do some North Dakota stories, some stories about Lego, that and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boss and Breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota. Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running, no matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So one thing I want to point out about President Trump, he increased Republican turnout and votes, percentage of the vote, greatly among minorities, blacks, Hispanics, even Muslims. 35% of Muslims voted for Trump. In some polls, it's even 50%, some exit polls. And while he lost votes in white Republican areas, you know, these liberal, what I call the congenital GOP, he actually gained votes in immigrant neighborhoods. Look at this headline from the New York Times. Do we have that headline? Oh, there it is. Immigrant areas shifted to Trump, even as Biden won the popular vote. That's a New York Times analysis. And he gained votes in immigrant neighborhoods. This is to all the liberal Republicans who said, oh, we need somebody unlike Trump who can appeal to these other groups. Actually, Trump was the guy we needed because he did appeal to these other groups. We just needed the Republicans to vote for him, the liberal elite Republicans. Now, into North Dakota. Governor Burgum finally got a clue, and he lifted the curfew on bars and restaurants. So now they can be open from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. I always said this was stupid because we know that, in fact, COVID does not have certain hours of doing business. COVID is around whenever it's around. So if it's okay to be open until 10 p.m. and starting at 4 a.m., it's okay to be open from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Thing he hasn't lifted is the mask mandate, which is bad for business, and the 50% capacity and 150 person per location maximum rule. All of these things are hurting businesses, and frankly, I think they're hurting businesses a lot more than the curfew. The curfew was bad too. All of this stuff should be gone because the North Dakota COVID numbers are going up and down. And as I told you before, it's not doing so well under all these mandates. So last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, there were 21 deaths from COVID, and that was up from the previous day. Then there were 6 deaths. I think that was Saturday. Then there were 0 Sunday. There were 2 yesterday. Today it's 5. So it's going down. Now it's going back up. These mask mandates, these limits on bars and restaurants, they don't work. You saw what's going on in Florida. You saw what's going on in Georgia, as I showed you today. Yesterday was Florida. Their cases are going down. They don't have any of these restrictions. They are a lot more liberal in terms of that than we are here in North Dakota. One other thing, did you know that 700, at least 700, actually more than that, of the 1,200, I think it's 59 cases or 39 cases, or deaths, of COVID in North Dakota were in nursing homes? That's more than half. So 56%, I did the math, if you only do 700, when it was more than 700. Now, they don't tell you that, but I just read it in a few articles. They don't give who is living in a nursing home. But you can kind of tell. These people who are mostly dying are in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100s. There's a few in their 50s and 60s, but very, very few. They're the anomalies, and they probably have comorbidities that North Dakota doesn't tell us about. Now, there was an attack yesterday on Senator Hovind's Fargo office. Let me guess, this guy we're about to see in the video that they're trying to ID did not vote for President Trump or Senator Hovind. Look at this. Oh, that's so brave, this guy. So brave of him. Wow. Look what he did. You know who's going to pay for those windows? Not Senator Hovind, the taxpayers of the country. That comes out of his Senate budget. So he didn't do anything. He made his statement, which was what? I don't know. But if you recognize that guy, tell it to the Fargo police because they're looking for him. Like I said, I don't think he voted for the same guy I did for president. All right, now, speaking of nastiness based on politics, I want to tell you about what's going on in Bismarck. So somebody in Bismarck is leaving nasty notes on people's front lawns or at their doors or on their porches because why? They have the gall to put up American flags and also Trump flags and don't tread on me. So you can't put up an American flag anymore in America? That you get a threat for? I mean, isn't our country, the United States of America, isn't that our flag? So this person writes, just went for a lovely walk in the neighborhood. And then I came to your fence and I was reminded of so much ugliness. 200,000 deaths. Actually, it's over 300,000, but why be accurate? And then they put a whole bunch of dirty language about the president, which they didn't post. You see there's a blank there. Trying to do away with the Affordable Care Act during a pandemic, just a start. This is just a start. Your freedom of speech and mine from the neighborhood. It's not from the neighborhood. It's from one person who's threatening this person with just a start. And this person has threatened 2 people now. So there's a woman named Ms. Grainer who got one of these things and a guy named Doug Ho. And this is Kimberly Grainer and Doug Ho. I wonder if Kimberly Grainer is related to Mary Hoff Grainer from our Ladies of Another View. We'll have to ask her. But listen to what this reporting from local media says. The letter received by Grainer begs the question about her decision to display a political sign. Huh? Don't we still have the First Amendment in America? So you're not allowed to exercise your First Amendment right? People are allowed to threaten you for that? No, 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 no. Outrageous. All right. So that's what's going on in Bismarck neighborhoods. Now, a North Dakota judge has dismissed a lawsuit against North Dakota officials and police because he claims that he was injured at the protest, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe protest of the Dakota Access Pipeline. As I've said before, these people were violent. They left a mess. They left condoms. They left garbage. This cost North Dakota taxpayers a lot. And these people did not have a proper permit and so on. So a judge dismissed that lawsuit. Good for him. All right, finally, I know your Christmas buying is probably mostly done, but I know there's a few of you who are last minuters. If you are buying stuff for your kids that's Lego, here's a tip. If you're looking for Lego guns or tanks or anything that is weapons of war, you won't find it because Lego does not make anything that they believe constitutes a war toy. But if you're looking for that, you can buy it online on eBay and on Etsy. A lot of these sites, people make them to fit Lego characters. You just probably won't get it in time for Christmas. But check it out. If that's what you want to get your kid, I think it's great to teach them the Second Amendment and what it takes to defend our freedoms and our country. And remember, things are not always what they seem. See you tomorrow.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.